Caribbeans, welcome to ECCB Connects. Do you want to send or receive money from relatives or a business in one of the ECCB member countries? There's a fast, secure, and efficient way to do this. On this week's program, General Manager of the Eastern Caribbean Automated Clearing House, Philomena Lee, explains the process. Stay with us. We'll continue in a moment.
Register and secure your spot at the 8th Annual Growth and Resilience Dialogue. Explore new emerging trends and accelerate your learning. Dynamic leaders will take you on a deep dive into 2 master classes covering design thinking, a creative approach to problem solving, and strategies for successful business innovation in the Caribbean. Panel discussants will engage you on how to nurture a culture of innovation that leads to disruptive new products and services. And that's not all. Live AI demonstrations in healthcare, agriculture, education, finance, and the creative arts will take you to a higher level. Learn from Caribbean entrepreneurs and creatives on breaking through barriers to make it on the international stage.
As a region, we cannot change our history and we cannot change our geography. But together, we can elevate our development trajectory through innovation and collective action. Let's do it.
Online attendees will also have an opportunity to win an early bird registration prize valued at $2,700 EC if their registration is received on or before the 30th of March 2024. Visit the ECCB's 8th Growth and Resilience Dialogue webpage to register and secure your spot today.
Ms. Lee, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you very much for having me, Philomena.
The Eastern Caribbean Automated Clearing House was launched in 2014 with the objective of making faster, more secure, more efficient payment system throughout the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. In a nutshell, how does this work?
So in 2014, when we started with checks. And what the clearinghouse did is allowed exchange of checks electronically through images. So therefore, what happened is that checks could be exchanged throughout the day, and not only within the same island, but across all of the territories of the ECCU, or Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. It made it secure because, one, it was images. It was fast because as soon as the images are received at the clearinghouse, they are transmitted to the receiving banks. And secure in the sense that once it's received at the bank, deposited, it's transmitted to a digital format that can now be exchanged securely.
Before the ACH, how did that process take place?
Prior to the establishment of the electronic clearinghouse, checks were actually exchanged every morning. All of the banks came with their checks that they had received the previous day, and they exchanged the instruments by hand.
Okay, and that happened at ECCB agency offices in countries?
That's right, in each territory.
So indeed, the clearinghouse has made it more efficient and, as you mentioned, more secure.
That's correct, because as I said, now you actually can transmit files during the course of the day as compared to next morning.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, your vision, the vision of the Eastern Caribbean Automated Clearing House, is to connect the world through easy, secure, and affordable payment solutions. How do you do this?
From a security perspective, checks as well, they are now digitized and the images transmitted. So therefore, you reduce the risk of paper loss, etc. And the image is actually now legally accepted in place of the physical paper. So that speaks to security. In terms of efficiency, that, as I already indicated, efficient because it occurs during the day at periodic intervals as sent by the banks.
In 2018, you moved on to electronic funds transfer. Tell us about that.
When a customer would like to send funds to a business or a friend or another individual, they are able to provide instructions to their bank electronically through online banking or through mobile banking, or of course the old method remains, you can go to the branch. And the instructions are accepted by the bank and sent electronically to the receiving bank, who in turn then credit the customer's account. So this represents an improvement over the previous method of checks, right? Because with checks, you literally have to go to deposit the items. Now, with electronic funds transfer, you can actually originate the payment instructions electronically, as I said before, without having to go to a branch.
So you can use your computer or your phone.
You can use your computer, you can use your phone to initiate the transaction.
Okay. Now, the whole process, you talk about initiating transactions. So let's say I want to send, I'm in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I want to send funds to my relatives in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What do I need to do? What sort of information do I need to provide to my bank?
So your bank needs all of the beneficiary information. That's who you want to send the funds to make sure it's going to the appropriate person and to the right account. Generally, you need to provide the name and address of the beneficiary, the type of account they have, and the account number, and any reference information that you need to send to make it unique so that the receiver can recognize the payment. And if, for example, you're sending it to a friend, then obviously the originator's name, who is sending it, is always sent, right? And it may not need any additional information. If you're sending it to a business, though, you're likely to need to provide things like an invoice reference number or something to allow the business to be able to apply the funds.
I've done it before, and I've been asked for bank transit number. Sometimes you ask for a routing number. What are these?
Each financial institution has what is called a financial institution number, and that is the bank number. Then normally their branches are given what is called a transit number. So the routing number is made up of a combination of the institution number and the transit number. And that's what is made up of the routing number.
Where can a customer find these numbers?
The bank is expected to have that information. And so we ask them to provide it in any method they have to transmit instructions. However, the ECACH has a website, and for ease of reference of customers, we publish the routing numbers for each bank on that website.
Ms. Lee, you gave the example of, let's say I want to send funds to my relatives in another country in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. What other services are offered via the EFT?
You can use electronic funds transfer as direct deposits. So for example, you can use it as payroll. Companies use it to pay their employees, or you can use it to pay suppliers, right? So those are other use cases, and those tend to be bulk. So what happened, the companies have several employees and they transmit the funds in one instruction to the banks, who then transmit it. The instruction can contain payments to persons who are operating accounts in several banks, right? And what the clearinghouse does, it takes these instructions and then transmits it to the respective financial institutions.
So for example, if my main bank is Bank A, but I have, let's say, a loan with Bank B and some other financial instruments with Bank C, I can have all of that done. My employer can make all of those payments on my behalf by sending instructions.
Right. So at the moment, the instructions can only be sent to savings accounts and checking accounts.
Okay.
So normally what the banks do, if you have a loan in Bank B, the Bank B arranges for the funds to go to a checking account or a savings account, and then the loan payments are taken out from that. Later, we intend to introduce directly where you can, in fact, credit a loan account, but that is in progress.
Let's go back to your mission and with the introduction of the EFT, where it's supposed to make payment faster. What is the general time frame for the processing of transactions via the EFT?
The clearinghouse is a real-time system. So as quickly as payments are received from the financial institutions, they are immediately processed and sent to receiving financial institution. What affects the receipt and delivery for our customers is generally the financial institutions tend to send the instructions maybe in batches. So they would send like every hour, and we are trying to encourage them to send more often so that customers can receive funds more quickly. Now, the other factor which affects the customer is that the receiving financial institution also tends to process in batches. And so if they decide to do every hour and so on, that in fact could affect it. And so the customer may not get their funds immediately, but say within the next hour.
Because we have seen several complaints coming through the ECCB of course being part owner of the ACH along with commercial banks in the region. So we receive complaints where people are saying it takes very long, up to 3 days sometimes, for transactions to be processed. What could be the reason for this?
There are a couple things that tend to affect it. One, sometimes the beneficiary information is not always complete. So one of the key things you need to know is not only the account number, but the type of account. For some reason, customers do not seem to provide that information. And when that is incorrect, then they have to go back to the institution from which the instructions originate to obtain the information. And of course, that would affect credit in the account.
Okay. Key is to have the correct and complete information.
That's correct. So you are really, customers who want to send instructions, very important. Beside the name of the beneficiary, they must have the account type and the account number. Of course, it's understood you have to know which bank you're sending it to.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is pushing the modernization of the payment system. In keeping with that, what's next for the Eastern Caribbean Automated Clearinghouse?
With the modernization program, what we are hoping to go towards is what is called faster payments or instant payments, which pretty much means that you have to do straight-through processing. So as soon as the payment is sent by the originator, it processes without too much in manual intervention to the receiver's account. So that's on the road for the modernization, and that's what we are working on at the moment, to look at what are the requirements from our customers in terms of speed. And also, I think what is going to be important to our customers as well is the fees, because that's another point, right, that customers have raised. What they are in fact saying is that different institutions, there's a wide variance in the fees. And again, that's a focal point for the ECCB and ourselves, trying to encourage the banks to make an adjustment to fees so that the variance is not so wide in what is being charged.
I'm sure customers will welcome that because we're working in a fast-paced environment. People need to get things done now. So we look forward to that innovation and improvement in the system.
That will be very welcome because, this system exists in about 60 countries across the world, right? Particularly, you will find in Asia and in the US that has been introduced within the last year. So I think I would like to say that the payment system within the Eastern Caribbean is actually quite good.
Ms. Lee, thank you very much for speaking with us on ECCB Connect.
You're welcome. And I really believe that payments are the way of the future when it comes to, we all have to be making payments, right? And so we welcome the opportunity to make it better and safer.
ECCB Connects is the official handle of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. How do you know it's the ECCB? All posts and reactions made by the ECCB on social media will carry the username ECCB Connects and feature this profile picture. Other pages with the name Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, such as these, are not official pages. Like, subscribe, and follow us today. You'll know it's the ECCB by this profile pic and the handle at ECCB Connects.
Here's where we end this week's episode of ECCB Connects. We spoke with the General Manager of the Eastern Caribbean Automated Clearing House, Philomena Lee. Here are the key takeaways. The Eastern Caribbean Automated Clearing House is responsible for clearing checks and other electronic transactions across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. It provides a more secure, faster, and more efficient option for you to send and receive funds electronically using your commercial bank. To send funds, you must know the beneficiary's name, account number, type of account, for example, saving or checking, and the name of the beneficiary's bank. The electronic fund transfer allows for same-day payment between individuals and businesses. Thanks for watching. We invite you to join us again next week for another program. Remember, ECCB Connects is produced by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you.